Hi, I'm Zane Warsen, Wildlife Guru, here to bring you a special edition of Weekly Wildlife. Recently, I've gone on a trip to the windy shores of Point Reyes National Seashore. It's on these grassy slopes that one of the last herds of the endangered Tule Elk resides. Contrary to popular belief, these large mammals of the deer family were not introduced for food, but are a native species. What's more, they are endemic to California, meaning they are found nowhere else. To see the elk, we walked 3 miles out onto the Tamales Point Peninsula. We were mainly walking through grassland with a few shrubs here and there. Not great cover for a large mammal, but the elk have no natural predators here. Our first close-up sighting made quite an impression. We were walking along the trail when I suddenly heard a grunt off to our left. I looked over to see 4 or 5 elk, a male guarding some females. They seemed to be looking at something across the trail to our right. I looked over to see 2 more elk on the other side. We were right in the middle of a group. The male was protecting the females from us and clearly unsettled by our close proximity. That call the male displayed was his bugle. The meaning can be a number of things. It can be a sign of dominance, but in this case it was for communication. The male was calling to the females on the other side. About 3 miles in, we reached the finale of our journey. A small pond surrounded by lush green meadows, a stark contrast to the dry, scrubby hillsides we had become accustomed to. In the meadows, dozens of elk lay resting, relaxing in the afternoon sun. This small pond is responsible for the elk being here, for it's the only source of fresh water on the whole peninsula. To the left of the pond, there is a group of about a dozen females and calves, with 1 male. He is the alpha male. He may not be the biggest, but he is the meanest, and he fought his way to be here. See, every mating season, the male elk fight for the females. The victor gets all the females, while the not-so-lucky males are left on the outskirts of the group. But if one of them challenges his rule, well, things will not turn out well. This is a young buck. At only 2 years old, he does not yet have the experience to know to stay out of the alpha's way. He and an older male start to slowly encroach on the alpha's territory. The alpha will not have any of it. He charges the intruders, splitting them up. The older male backs away while the young buck runs deeper into the alpha's territory. After dealing with the older male, the alpha sprints back and chases the young buck up a hillside. This buck will not mess with the alpha again anytime soon. The alpha is very protective of his harem. He doesn't limit this trait to his own species. At one point, a clueless young deer wandered onto the meadow, oblivious to the alpha male elk sizing him up and grunting, starting a charge. The deer didn't realize until it was almost too late and bounded onto a nearby hillside, ducking into some brush. One of the reasons it is good to see the elk in the fall is that the males are in rut, a period of heightened sexual activity. During our time with the herd, the alpha took particular interest in a certain female, constantly being right behind her, sticking his tongue out. This went on for several minutes, the female continuing to ignore the male. Finally, the male just got so close and the female ran away. Female nursing a baby. The mother will nurse during the baby's first year of life. On the foggy journey home, we saw the biggest bull yet. It stared at me through the fog, glistening black eyes watching me with an expression I couldn't identify. Was it curiosity? Wonder? Fear? I watched as it receded into the fog, a remnant of a disappearing world.